Well, hello to those who have arrived a little early. I can see from here that my nieces and nephews down in Cambridge have signed on and are watching and have sent me a message. Um, it's good to see you guys too. And we're going to start in just about 1 minute. Might as well get things warmed up a little bit here. We're going to start in just seconds. Well, it's 4 o'clock, so welcome to those who have joined me today. This will be the last episode of Eating Simply that others may simply eat. I'm thinking I'll likely do another demonstration on Holy Saturday, but by then the fast will have ended and I'll be doing something quite a bit more elaborate as a meal and be done with the simple sort of thing. As the beautiful hymn says, Lent's long shadows have departed. I looked at my Apple Watch and saw that the sun isn't going to set tonight until 7:32. What a difference from a couple months ago when we began all this. So my recipe that I want to do a demonstration on today is called an Italian sausage soup. And then rather than a sandwich today, all these amazing Italian flavors that come together in this soup just seemed to cry out for some good old-fashioned cheesy garlic bread. And so that's what we're going to make as a side for this one. So we're going to begin by putting about a tablespoon or two of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. There's not a lot of prep or chopping for this soup. In terms of simplicity, you can't get much more simple than this recipe, and yet there's a complex coming together of wonderful flavors that certainly makes this soup a treat. So I'm going to add a half a diced onion into that oil and just sort of stir it around until the onion begins to soften and become transparent. When that happens, I'm going to add some minced garlic in as well. When we add the minced garlic, we only want it to be in there frying for about a minute. That way the flavors of the onion and garlic work together in order to create a flavor base for this soup. Boy, there aren't many things that are as nice as the smell of onions sauteing, though. Now I'm going to add about a tablespoon, there's my spoon, of minced garlic. And like I said, we don't want that to be fried for too long. We just want to release the flavor of that garlic. Then we're going to add a pound of Italian sausage. And as that fries up, I'm going to break it up and we're going to just keep stirring it around until there's no pink left whatsoever. So it all turns nice and brown. I'll set this spoon aside for a few moments. I'll come back to it. So technically speaking, we have already left behind the season of Lent and moved into the season of Passiontide. This Holy Week begins on Palm Sunday and moves us along through a series of days of Holy Week. I have to say, this is the first time in 28 years of ministry that I've been in a parish where there wasn't a daily Eucharist on each of the days in Holy Week. And I have, yesterday and today, really felt the loss of that, because in each of the gospel stories that we deal with through Holy Week, I have found that I have a growing understanding of what it is that is ahead in terms of the remembrance of our Lord, but also what it is that God is calling for from me as I respond to the incredible love that we see embodied in Jesus' death and resurrection. And on the Tuesday in Holy Week, the gospel story that I would ordinarily be talking about tonight in the chapel is the story of a woman who, upon hearing that Jesus is in Bethany on his way to Jerusalem where he will die, makes that journey to Bethany. And the gospel writers tell us that she had with her a very valuable alabaster jar that is filled with extremely costly ointment. The gift that she gives, I've read in various sources, would add up to likely a year's work for a soldier or someone working in the fields. And yet, this woman takes it and she pours it out on Jesus. It's an extravagant gift, a gift that is way over and above. She gives the very best that she has and pours it out on Jesus. If we stop and think about it, this whole story, this whole week, is a story of extravagant love. God's extravagant love for us in being willing to lay down his own life, being willing to suffer. And so in this woman, we see the right response to God's extravagant love, which is to love back with the very best that we have. The symbol I chose for today, I have to admit, I went down and nicked a bottle of my wife's perfume and set it on the corner of the counter here as a reminder of the incredible gift of that woman, as a thank you offering to the one who would give the most extravagant gift of all. In John's Gospel, Jesus says the words, "Greater love has no one than this, that they would lay down their life for their friends. And you are my friends." As we continue our journey through Holy Week, I pray that we will all take some time through the rest of this week to consider what is the very best that we have. What are the gifts that God has lavished upon us, and how can we return at Easter and pour out those gifts sacrificially to Jesus? So I'm now going to add a can of diced tomatoes. Most years I would have had my own preserved tomatoes, but this past year I didn't get an opportunity to do any canning, and so I'm having to use the ones from the grocery store. And I'm also going to add 1 can of tomato paste. Stir all of that in. Then I'm going to add 1 brick of cream cheese. And 1 cup of chicken broth. Again, ordinarily I would make my own broth, but I haven't cooked any chicken this week, so I didn't have any bones to boil. I'm sure it'll be just as good with the store-bought broth, though. Already the smell is really wonderful. Now we need to add 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. A 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. That's a little too much. And about a 1/4 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. We'll get all those things stirred in. This is an extremely hearty soup, not a lot of broth involved in it. But as I said, the mingling together of all these great Italian flavors is really what makes it work. Perhaps while those things are melting, I'll begin to work on the garlic bread. Now, usually I would use a gluten-free baguette, but when I was at the store yesterday, they didn't have any, but they did have some nice soft gluten-free bagels, and so that's what I've decided to use instead. And I made some nice garlic butter this afternoon so that it's all homemade. And I don't put on the garlic butter sparingly. I have to tell you, I do like to get lots of that lovely garlic flavor. Oh, the soup is really looking great. Okay, we've buttered the garlic bread. I'm going to just stir things up a little bit here. Then we have a couple more things to add just at the end. Okay, while that continues to work together, I'm going to sprinkle each of these pieces of garlic bread with some mozzarella cheese. And some Parmesan cheese. You know, I've had an awful lot of fun with this presentation, particularly when Sundays come and parishioners come up and say, "Oh, we tried your soup this week." It has been fun to share these recipes with you. It's been fun even in this time when we are often separated to join together with you on these Tuesday nights, even if it has to be virtually. Now that's almost ready, so I'm going to add in, I have it in 2 containers because unfortunately my other 1 cup measuring cup disappeared. I'm adding 1 cup of whipping cream. So I guess I need to tell you, if you were looking for a low-calorie meal, this is not the one. But sometimes it's good to just depart from those things and enjoy a really tasty meal. Add a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese as well. And now we're just going to simmer that until it's ready. Once again, with a simple soup and sandwich meal, I figure it's easy enough to say that I saved $5, and I'll add that into my Lunch by George container. And simply recap before I sign off that this day's gospel is calling us to give consideration to what is our offering, our extravagant love offering that we make to Jesus in the face of knowing that this week he has headed to Jerusalem, where he will make the ultimate gift of extravagant love for us. I'm going to leave this to simmer, and I'm going to pop this garlic bread in the oven. I don't think that you need to watch garlic bread in the oven, and so I just thank you very much for taking part in all of these. And keep an eye out on Holy Saturday. I expect that I will be back online, but with a much more extravagant and fun recipe. God bless you all, and thank you for participating in these.